Hi everyone, welcome to this tutorial video for the A597 roller fair lead. The roller fair lead is a product we've developed to work with existing main sheet jammers to remove friction, making it easier to pump your main sheet. It'll also save you energy when you're out in the water, meaning you can work harder for longer. Now, it's a pretty simple product. Essentially what you're going to do is you're going to replace your existing fair lead with a roller system that will fit on top of this cleat. It will fit any cleat that has a 38mm hole centre, but there are a few tools that you're going to need. So you're going to need a posi head screwdriver, an 8mm wrench, a knife, a nice sharp knife, and a flathead screwdriver. First of all, you need to remove the existing cleat from your main sheet jammer. So taking your posi screwdriver, just remove those screws. And you can just set them to one side as you won't need them again. Okay, once you've got your cleat off, just remove the bottom wedge, and you then next need to remove the existing fair lead. Now these are pretty stiff to get off, so the best way of doing it is using a screwdriver and leveraging it off. So hold the cleat closed and just simply leverage it open like so. Okay, next on your main sheet, if you have an Allen main sheet jammer, you'll notice that on the bottom is a plastic wedge. You need to remove this plastic wedge, and we actually need to do some slight adaptations to it to make the new roller fair lead fit. So currently it has two bobbles on top, and these bobbles are to stop the existing tapping screws coming all the way through and just giving it something to grip onto. But we actually need to cut these off, and ideally, if you can, drill a slight hole through just to make it a little bit wider so the bolts fit through a bit better. So to do that, what you need to do is take a knife and you're going to cut those bobbles off. Do it nice and easy, take your time. You want it to be nice and flat, and just make sure you do it really carefully with a sharp knife. It'll probably take you a couple of minutes, so I've done one a bit earlier. As you can see here, it's nice and flat now, and you can see all the way through it. Like I said, you might have to take a drill and just drill a little bit of a wider hole through, but that won't take you too long. Once you've done that, put it back onto your main sheet jammer, and then we need to assemble the actual roller fair lead. So empty your bag of bits. There are quite a few bits, so make sure not to lose any. First of all, you want to find one of your longer bolts, and in your bag of washers and nuts, there's two sizes of washers. Make sure to select the wider washer, the bigger washer first, and put that onto one of the bolts. Once you've done that, you then need to take the crossbar and put that on. You then have these mushroom looking pieces. You need to insert that on next, and then a stainless steel axle goes on over the top. Last final roller piece goes on with the wide side up, and that's one side complete. To do the next side, take your grey sheave, put that on your crossbar, and then do exactly the same for the other bolts. So big washer on first, slide that in, and then this one's already actually come assembled, so that's good. Slide that one on, and it should look something like that. So once you've done that, grab your cleat, put the bolts through the cleat and slide it all the way on. This bit can be a little bit fiddly, you might need to just line them all up, make sure all the plastic rollers are in place, and push all the way through. Okay, so it should look like that. As you can see now, you've got rollers on either side and the roller on the top to remove the friction from your main sheet system. Once you've done that, onto your jammer, making sure the cleat is the right way so that it opens up like so. Put it upside down and put the small washer on next. Now you may have noticed that the bolts are slightly longer than the actual jammer needs to be, but that's because some people like to put a wedge underneath or something to lift it up, a razor, a lifter, cleat lifter, but that's personal preference. We've left these long so that can be done. You can put a wedge in there or a lifter in there, or you can just simply cut them off with a hacksaw to your desired length, so completely customizable. Once you've put your nut and washer on, grab your wrench, your 8mm wrench and your flathead screwdriver and simply tighten it all the way up. Now this will take a few minutes because it's quite a lot of thread, so I'm just going to fast forward here and I'll show you the finished product. Okay, so just make sure those nuts are done nice and tightly, as you don't want the cleat to wobble around. Once it's assembled, you should have something that looks like this. Like I say, the bolts are longer, so you can have a wedge or a cleat lifter underneath. If you don't, you can simply take a hacksaw, just cut those down to the required length. Just to make sure it is all correctly set up, you should have a roller piece on either side just above the cleat, and also the sheave should roll on top. Really simple, it only takes 5 minutes, but what this product's going to do is it's going to help you save a lot of energy when you're on the water by removing that friction that the old Pro Lead had. By allowing rolling sides and a rolling sheave on top, you're going to be able to do much more forceful pumps, perfect for boats such as a Fin, Fireball, Solo, anything really that has a main sheet jammer. The sides, obviously the main sheet jammer rotates anyway, but it just removes even more friction while still helping guide the rope into the cleats. Just one thing to make sure, when you do tighten up these bolts at the bottom, you don't do them too tight as to stop the cleats from opening. If you do it too tight, you'll notice that there's too much friction on those cleats, just wind it off a little bit. There you have it, that's the roller fairlead, the A597 from Allen, available to order online at allenbrothers.co.uk. If you've got any questions, feel free to get in touch with us and we'll be more than happy to help. Happy sailing.